Right, let's bring you some breaking news. The Emir of oil-rich Kuwait, Sheikh Nawaf al-Ahmad al-Sabah, died on Saturday, the royal court has said. This is after 3 years that he held his position in power. He was 86 years old. Bernard Smith takes a look back at his life.
Nawaf al-Ahmad al-Sabah led Kuwait for a relatively short time, only since September 2020. By the end of 2021, he'd handed most of his duties to his half-brother and designated heir, Mashal al-Ahmad al-Sabah. Emir Nawaf had been involved in the administration and government of Kuwait since its full independence from Britain in 1961. He was defence minister in exile when Kuwaiti tanks, accompanied by Allied forces, rumbled into Kuwait City at the end of the First Gulf War. But his role in the run-up to Iraq's invasion in August 1990 casts a cloud over his career. After the Gulf War, the returning emir faced demands from senior army officers to investigate and dismiss then Sheikh Nawaf and another minister. The officers said Sheikh Nawaf withdrew tanks from the border, reduced the state of alert and told the army not to fire on Iraqis if they crossed into Kuwait. Decisions taken apparently to avoid provoking the Iraqis. Sheikh Nawaf wasn't dismissed but was appointed Social Affairs Minister in the post-war government, a comparatively junior role. Nawaf al-Ahmad al-Sabah was born in June 1937. His family has ruled oil-rich Kuwait continuously since the mid-18th century. He leaves behind a wife, 4 sons and a daughter. Bernard Smith, Al Jazeera.
Well, let's bring in now Mohammed Sharqawi. He's a professor of conflict resolution and diplomacy at George Mason University. Good to have you with us. So first of all, how do you think this passing of the Emir of Kuwait, let's start with that issue, what kind of situation, what kind of impact does it have on the regional situation? Kuwait's long been seen, of course, as something of a balanced mediator within Arab politics.
Well, it raises several question marks about the situation in Kuwait as a Gulf state that has sought stability, has sought a regional and international role in terms of negotiating and mediating certain conflicts. Number one was the Qatar blockade in 2017. Kuwait at the time has played a major role. Now there is a question mark of the political vacuum, and Emir Nawaf has not lived much, has not ruled over a couple of years, basically. So there is this question of where Kuwait leans forward now in terms of who is going to take over, and also the implications on Kuwait's foreign policy.
One assumes, of course, it'll be Sheikh Mashal al-Ahmad al-Jaber who takes over. He's been exercising already some of the powers, right?
It seems like this is the normal path toward this transfer.
What do we know about Sheikh Mashal?
He has been in Kuwaiti politics for some time. He has been not on front runner or front face, basically. He has followed, actually. And I think now the two figures now, Nawaf and Mashal, are still pursuing the same foreign policy of late Emir al-Ahmad al-Sabah. He has been the main driving force of Kuwaiti politics for 5 decades. So I don't see that Mashal will bring any major surprises or a major alterations of the Kuwait's path in terms of sticking to a moderate coalition within the Gulf nations, as well as maintaining the Arabness, if you like, of its politics in terms of supporting the Palestinian case and also...
On that point, just talk us through where Kuwait stands on what's become quite a divisive issue in the Gulf, relations with Israel.
Well, I remember once I was given a lecture in Paris and I said there have been 3 different Gulfs. There is the Persian Gulf, and the Arab Gulf has been split into 2. The moderates and those who are, holding together in a way that this process of normalization with Israel has split the Gulf Six Nations into two camps. You have three nations, including Kuwait, Qatar, and Oman, are supporting this choice. However, we have seen since 2020, with the Trump administration in Washington, we have seen the Emiratis, the Bahrainis have sort of drifted to this normalization. So I look at Kuwait now as one of the key players in the first camp, that it remains loyal to the Arab issues, to the regional issues, and also to deal with the Iranians and with the Turks, the other regional players in a moderate way, with the positive engagement vis-a-vis the other players in the region.
All right, thank you so much for your analysis on that. Let's go over now to Badr Saif. He's the Assistant Professor of History at Kuwait University. Joins us from Kuwait City. Good to have you with us. Take us through how the public is reacting there to this news.
This is a very sad day indeed for Kuwait. Sheikh Nawaf al-Ahmad has only done good for the country. His legacy will be remembered fondly. He has many nicknames, if you may. He's known as the Amir of Pardons. He has led the largest reconciliation in modern Kuwaiti history with a series of amnesties and the returns of citizenships, release of prisoners. He has also opened up to the opposition and opened the parliament again to all voices, and opened up to taking away from the government's role really in voting for the Speaker of the House, which was a crucial thing to reinforce the positionality of the people and the popular opinion, if you may. He will also be remembered for a drastic administrative overhaul that has started early on in his era, and that's results we've yet to be seen. A shuffling of leadership positions that has been unprecedented, and a smoother government-parliament relations in the past few months, really, with an unprecedented legislative roadmap that we have had for the 2023-24 era. His era has been quite notable, even though it was the third shortest lived in Kuwait's history by ruling only for 3 years and 3 months.
All right. I don't think there's been an announcement about his successor, but Sheikh Mishal al-Ahmad al-Jaber is in line to take over, correct?
That is correct.
And talk us through what's expected from him, given his background and history.
I mean, Sheikh Mishal al-Ahmad, as I've said before in other interviews, is an insider and an outsider at the same time. He has been accompanying the previous emirs in all of their decisions and all of their governance practices, and he comes in with a fierce look and a view towards preserving what Kuwait has had and has built in the previous years, and to moving it forward. Succession has been smooth in Kuwait. It is guided by a constitution, and there is a process that follows. And this process will unfold as we speak in the coming days.
And Kuwait is one of those Gulf and Arab countries that has perhaps a greater degree of democratic practice than at least some others, although the Emir retains ultimate authority, right? How do you see the progression of that kind of balance of power going forward?
Kuwait's political system is quite unique. It blends the presidential and parliamentary systems all together. So there is the reign of the people as well as the reign of the emir that come and meet together to serve the interests of Kuwait. I see this system moving forward. It has gone through a lot of trials, and I've called for some constitutional change. And I think this is something that we can look forward to as we strengthen this social contract that we have between the rulers and the ruled.
In terms of foreign policy, do you expect Kuwait to remain a staunch U.S. ally as it has been?
Kuwait will remain a proud Arab nation that looks first to its Gulf neighbors and that remains in line with its main partnerships, first and foremost being with the U.S., indeed.
And what kind of projection do you have for how Kuwaiti foreign policy will develop vis-a-vis especially the conflict that's going on in Gaza and the issue that's proved very divisive in Arab and Gulf politics, which is relations with Israel.
Kuwait has been on the record as the last to normalize with Israel when that takes place among the various countries and upon the return of a Palestinian state, because they need to reclaim their state for any action to be taken from the Kuwaiti side. We have been very clear on that position, and it's a position that meets with large support from both people and the government.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for your thoughts and analysis on that.